since energy has become very critical now and more actually, and L&T is holding that portfolio in a very strong position in its revenue mix. How do you see it developing, evolving in time to come?
I always say that in L&T, I think we have been playing a very active role in development of energy infrastructure, both for the country as well as for the markets in West Asia. Of course, we started with manufacturing and supplying equipments for the energy sector, and then we got into EPC projects in the hydrocarbons way back in 1995. So it's almost 30 years since we have been participating in that. And then we moved into power and thermal power projects, and we created huge amount of EPC as well as manufacturing capability. And then we moved into power transmission and distribution. And now the latest, not the latest, but latest is offshore wind. But then we also got into renewables. We are one of the largest EPC contractor in solar power generation. And the last one, of course, we are now launching, leveraging our capability in the offshore hydrocarbon to offshore wind farm. So I think we have a range of baskets. And then the biggest commitment we made a couple of years back was to also participate in the energy transition, going towards greening and also decarbonization and etc. So a couple of things as a corporate, we took a decision to go water neutrality in 2035 and carbon neutrality in 2040. So we're doing a lot of things related to that to see how we can achieve that. We have a good roadmap. And then we also wanted to participate in the energy transition. So we set up L&T Green in some form. And there we are looking at manufacturing electrolyzers for green hydrogen, and also looking at green hydrogen EPC, and then also green hydrogen and derivatives like methanol, green ammonia as a development. So that's also, like I had said, it's sowing this seed for the future. So we are keeping our leg. So I think I'm very glad that as L&T, we are present in the entire spectrum. And very jokingly, I say that I'm a rainbow man. And because I have all the colors, I have the gray, I have the green, I have the gray, and everything. It covers the entire spectrum. And how does that sort of relate with what is going to happen in the world? I think globally, a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades down the line, of course, the energy mix will change. But I'm a firm believer that all sources of energy will coexist. So we are talking about oil and gas, the coal, maybe there's more share of gas, and then you will also have green, and then you will also have a blue, and then you also have nuclear, you will have hydro. So everything will coexist, because I do not think that any one source of energy can take such a dominance that they will substitute the others. So I think our strategy, long-term strategy, medium-term strategy, is to leverage our capabilities which we have built over 3 decades, and to make sure that we have an offering in each of these possible dimensions. And that's what we are working on. Some of them are immediate, some of them will yield results in the future, but we have to be active and present in that.
But given the constantly evolving landscape of energy, upskilling is again a need, because new forms of energy are. So how do you manage to sort of develop your workforce?
Very, very good question. I think, some of them are very adjacent to what we have been doing. So there it is like adjacency, it is natural progression. So we don't need to really do too much of upskilling. But when it comes to energy transition, like when you're talking about green hydrogen and electrolyzers, these are some of the new technologies. And I think we identified that first, that there is a gap, need to fill the gap, and then we went about having acquiring talents who have got that relevant experience. We also created a council, we call it as a Green Council, where we have members comprising of experts coming from different continents. Like we have a couple of them from US, a couple of them from Europe, a couple of them from even Far East. And then we meet every quarter and then exchange ideas and thoughts in terms of what is the development, what is the innovation, what is the technology. We created also for the green collaborated with some of the best institutes. Like we had a joint program running with IIT Mumbai, where we are drawing the expertise of the professors there and institutes there and sponsoring them. We also created our own R&D center in Hazira, and led by very what I would say proficient and with high pedigree knowledge in electrochemistry. So there are multiple approach we are adopting, and then I think the normal training of youngsters, bright young guys, and inducting them into this different platforms and giving them exposure also provides that training. And once we start implementing the job, and then on the job training, there's no substitute. I mean, that will be the biggest training we'll be able to.
In fact, L&T is the the center where everybody actually learns, and
Yeah.
then the rest of the industry learns from L&T.
So we have been like a big, I would say, what you call academic institution or learning institution. L&T also is fondly called as learning and training, not Larsen and Toubro. So there is a lot of learning culture and development culture in the organization.
How do you balance the two, the hydrocarbon issue and the renewable energy in terms of the projects?
The way we are structured as L&T is quite nice in my view, because though they are all part of the one group, within that for different businesses, we have created this, what you call it, ICization, independent companies. So whenever we see a potential for a business to grow to a certain level, we ICize it and make it independent companies. And so in a sense, they operate like a listed company, though they are not listed. So in terms of leadership, in terms of governance, finance, HR, support, everything is quite independent, because we believe that it can reach that scale and afford that kind of setup. And so therefore we have, like for renewables, there is an IC now. We created an IC. Power transmission is another IC. Hydrocarbon also we are split into two, onshore and offshore is a separate IC. And then under the ICs, sometimes if you are not reached that scale, then we call it as SBG, strategic business groups. So like wind farm is an SBG. So things like that. So the way we have organized ourselves gives us the flexibility to focus on each of those with the proper leadership, so that we can continue to capitalize from the market's opportunities as they emerge. So there is a lot of synergy, but then they are all having individual focus.
So would power and hydrocarbons, etc., or renewables all come under one big umbrella?
Currently, I mean, we are classifying it under energy, but each of them have, like I said, has an IC structure,
Right.
and they are led by a leader, and therefore there is a independent focus, and they continue to drive. So they have their own targets of growth and capitalizing, increasing market share, profitability. So which is like provides a good growth platform for us.
How do you see aligning with the National Green Hydrogen Mission?
Well, National Green Hydrogen, we are again, I mean, you would have possibly seen it in the press that we have been successful in the reverse auction bidding. We had the first of the green hydrogen project by IOCL. This whole process has been going on for the last 2-3 years. We were actively participating and doing our advocacy in terms of how the whole green hydrogen mission should get the framework for that and how it should get set up. And the first tender, I think we have now lowest, and we are waiting for the finalization of the award. It's imminent. It should come through any time. So that's a good news. I mean, because all these years of hard work, we are also participating in similar green hydrogen projects for other refineries. Hopefully, we'll be lucky to get some more, which will build up. And then we are continuously in dialogue with the green hydrogen. We participate in various forums and articulate and debate on how the country should sort of evolve the policy framework. There are a lot of opportunities for export. I mean, India can become an export hub and things like that. So there's quite a good active participation in the whole green energy space.
Mr. Sarma, you spent a lot of time, I think probably 2-3 decades in the Middle East. And how do you see the way, of course, currently the Middle East markets are still in a surplus mode. And how do you see, do you think L&T ought to do some strategic partnerships in terms of growth, in those areas, or you're content with what is currently happening?
No, it's a good question. I think this is something which is very dynamic. You need partnership for different reasons. Sometimes you don't have access to the market. That could be one reason. Or sometimes you see that you don't have the expertise in certain areas related to that prospect, then you need the partnership. And sometimes it could be risk is too high that you want to share the risk.
Yeah.
That itself could be a partnership. And sometimes your balance sheet, like you don't have the balance sheet for targeting some large projects. So then people come together. So there are several reasons. Fortunately for us, we don't have that need because we are now access to the market. The customers recognize us and they are happy to give us the large contracts. Thankfully, we are also having a strong balance sheet, and our ability to appetite to take risk on and certain up to a certain value is still quite good. And most of the projects what we are doing in the space we are operating, we have built also the technical capability. So as such, the need for partnership is not that very strong. But having said that, when you reach cross certain threshold, or sometimes you want to bring more competitiveness in a market which is more competitive, like some people are able to offer better cost solutions, we are absolutely open to partnership, and we have done projects in partnership.
now-
Like Riyadh Metro was done
Yeah.
in partnership. The offshore contract which I have with Aramco, long-term agreement, I have a partnership with the European company called Subsea 7, and some of the rail projects we are doing with the Chinese. So, and like Hitachi's and Siemens, we continuously, because they bring certain technological expertise, so we partnership. So we are very open, and wherever we see any of these needs and that will enhance our competitiveness or our ability to execute and make it more profitable, we are open to that partnership. So it will be case by case we live by.
And what would be the proportion of the revenue mix now for the entire energy basket in the entire portfolio of L&T?
Yeah, it's growing quite well actually. In the last few years, the proportion of energy in the overall order book L&T has grown consistently. I think combination of both hydrocarbon winning some large jobs and also renewables part of the energy portfolio picking up. And luckily also the thermal power plant business has revived and they have picked up some good orders. So all in all, I think combination of that, we are reaching close to about 40%. I mean, we are roughly going about 200,000, 2 lakhs crores in that scale. I mean, little less and more, I don't know exact number, but in a 550, so it's almost close to 35 to 40% order book, which is good. I mean, I think, and it has potential to grow even further.
Coming to technology, Mr. Sarma, you all have a certain, of course, you all have verticals in the IT segment, but use of technology for construction and various all these engineering projects like AI, of course, digital twin, etc. How's that? How are you using that to make your projects more efficient?
Well, this has been a constant endeavor, I would say, to see how we can bring technology and embed them in our process. I think our chairman has been very technology savvy. He has been driving this since the time he took over in 2017. It's a big thrust on that. We have a corporate level digital center, and every IC I spoke about has got its own digital arm. And what I have heard, and this is coming from McKinsey, because they are very closely watching, because they help us in our strategies. They say that the kind of technology we are using in the construction industry, be it IoT or be it digital twins, what you spoke about, or and facial recognitions, etc., etc. I mean, or even digital for safety. When they did the comparison, they found that we are in the top 3 globally in terms of construction industry, in terms of adopting technology. We are also now have an AI team created again recently, but after the Gen AI became popular, and currently the group is writing close to about 108 algorithms using our IT companies and the resources within, to see how we can use the AI in many of our processes. I mean, then slowly all of them, like contract reviews and document reviews and etc., etc. Many of the mundane transactional activities. I mean, they are writing 108 algorithms. So hopefully, I think a year from now, we should have many of those working as agents in our processes, which will enable people to perform better. We are using digital twin quite a bit in the energy side, and in the construction we are using BIM, which is again 3D 4D visualization. So lots of things are happening, and I think now the focus will be to see how we can bring more and more AI.
And you see this actually being adopted and therefore bringing out better rationalizing costs and giving you good returns in with this digital adoption.
It should. I mean, I think we always have this question: where is the money? I mean, it should get reflected in the bottom line. So I think we'll have to start measuring it differently. But one way or the other, it is reflecting. Maybe if we would not have had this, our bottom line would have been worse. So it is helping us to protect and maintain, and over a period of time, it will help us to grow the bottom line also. So, again, but it is not a question of no choice. I mean, it is just a necessity, because if you don't do this, you could be left out.
In construction, are there efforts to decarbonize within India as such?
Yes, I mean, see, we always talk about, when you talk about decarbonization, hard to abate sectors like cement and steel is widely spoken about. But in between you and me, I think construction is also one of the very hard to abate sector, because remoteness of the sites. And the heavy equipments we use, some of the large projects, most of them are all diesel driven. I mean, and you need power. I mean, I don't have the many places we don't even have the power transmission or permanent power supply system. And because the projects are getting built, like if I go to the refinery 2 years back, I was in refinery in Barmer, which is Hindustan Petroleum, and the power is just getting ready for the project. But we have been there for 3 years, so we have to generate our own power using diesel and things like that. So it's not easy to transition, but we have started using biofuels wherever the hubs are available. So that's one way of sourcing. Second most important thing, you spoke about how we use digital technologies. All our assets, which are like whether it be crane or been heavy equipments, are all having intelligent chips. So we are continuously monitoring its usage and optimizing the usage so that we can reduce the consumption of the fuel. And we have a dispensing, digitalized dispensing mechanism, so that the fuel is going to the right place and only the right quantity is going. So we put some controls wherever possible. When you have a long project, then we are trying to use solar, rooftop solar in our camps and temporary facilities, so that you can replace that with greener power. So at some places we are also looking at using mixed cements, cement with ash, so that you can reduce the cement usage, which is also decarbonization, water recycling. So there are many things we are doing, but I think it's a tough sector to decarbonize, and it is not just us. The whole ecosystem around us has to develop. Like I want to see whether we can get heavy electrical equipments like what they have in mining, or heavy electrical cranes, not diesel. Then we can start slowly adopting. But we are participating, and we are doing whatever we can do within our control.